All right, a beautiful morning it is in the city of Lagos. That's where we're broadcasting from. My name is Moses Humphrey, and working with me, of course, as always, is Esther Onwachuku. A federal high court yesterday dismissed a suit challenging the validity of President Tinubu's election because he didn't score 25% of the votes cast in the FCT. Plus, the outgoing Senate yesterday approved a request by the president, Bola Tinubu, to appoint 20 special advisors. Now, these are the stories we're looking at today. Do well to click on the like button and subscribe to our page on YouTube. We are Voice of the People TV, and do follow us as well on other social media platforms. VoP TV Live. That's how we appear on social media. We'll be going into the front pages of most dailies, and of course, as always, I do have with me Cyril Abaku, and together we'll be delving into what the front pages are saying. So come with us as we go into the dailies this morning. Starting off with the Punch newspaper now. The Punch has this headline. Forgive my rudeness. Good morning to you, Cyril.
Good morning, Moses.
Okay, I'm just in a hurry to get into it.
It's fine.
Because we do have very interesting stories.
Yeah.
So welcome once again.
Thank you.
From the Punch newspaper now we have subsidy. Reps demand NNPCL audit over unaccounted 2 trillion naira assets. And then it has sub-riders. Some NNPCL subsidiaries bought crude oil without evidence of payment. Lawmakers. Legislators. OPS back refineries privatization. Uber, Bolt drivers begin nationwide strike. All right. Now, on top of the nameplate, we have this headline. House alleges fraud, asks Tinubu to suspend Nigeria Air. 51 jostle for Kogi, Bayelsa, Imo governorship seats. Finally, Senate throws out Buhari's controversial water bill. There seem to be some balls growing now. Well, Obasa re-elected speaker as Sanwo-Olu inaugurates Lagos Assembly, and anti-inauguration lawyer fined 20 million naira faces NBA probe. Police investigate assassination of UI professor. Journalism icon, ex-Daily Times editor, Enahoro for UK burial today. All right, so these are the headlines we have from the Punch newspaper. So,
I like the one you said, balls are growing. Which of the stories
no,
was
that's
that?
not.
Well, I mean,
I just had
because
to,
the National Assembly now appears to have found its voice back
yes, I just had to.
again. Which only goes to, look, it's not in the interest of your country, in the interest of your children, your generation, even your own person, to look at wrong and call it right. To look at right and try to paint it as wrong. It doesn't pay anybody. We said it time and again. We didn't have to say it, but we said time and again that something was fundamentally wrong with the way the National Assembly went about its business. It's clear now. Yesterday, they were bold enough to declare that the launch of Nigeria Air was barefaced fraud. But I hope that the declaration is not for the optics alone.
We hope that they will follow through.
If you declare, first of all, declaring it a fraud, since they are not a court of law, I take it to be an indictment. Now, I mean, just for what it is worth, report this because it involves finance, report it to the EFCC and give them matching orders to thoroughly investigate this matter and, where necessary, arrest the culprit and put them on trial. President Tinubu is still president. It's early in the day. But let's not look at things like maybe who supported me, who didn't support me, and whether we need to consolidate or whatever.
It should be about making things right.
You saw the story about the NNP saying that some subsidiaries were lifting oil, there was no license,
Without
evidence of
payment.
Let me say this. The NNPC has been under investigation since 1979. And this investigation don't ever come. One investigation will lead to another, and then the fraud continues to escalate on an alarming basis. They've referred to it. There was a time the news magazine said the NNPC was Nigeria's ATM machine. was Nigeria's house of sleaze or so. Sleaze. Somebody later said it was a cesspool of corruption. We know. Why hasn't any government summoned the courage to confront this behemoth? You know the problem, Moses? This is it. Even the move to remove fuel subsidy, it is a pragmatic move, it is a political move, it is a smart move, but it is not a move that is actually in the interest of justice. Okay. Because people have alleged that there is nothing like subsidy, that subsidy is pure corruption, all well and good. Corruption didn't fall from the sky. Nigerians,
people are perpetrating it.
Where are they? Who are they? Where are they and who are they? All the hue and cry about corruption under Jonathan, now that the APC was in power for 8 years,
we are still crying.
And now another APC government has come in. Excuse me, sir. Jonathan wanted to remove subsidy. You said there was corruption. Corruption should be probed. We should name those who are taking subsidy money without doing anything with it. Now you've come into government. I think that it is only good that what you serve your neighbor should be good for you also. As the Englishmen say, what is sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. So even the move to boldly take away subsidy, let us know who is it. It is not. How about issue? So now, how many people have they given import licenses to? Only the NNPC has the license. So if NNPC is selling as selling as 600 naira, for example, anybody buying from the NNPC has to sell at a higher rate. That's not competition.
That's not how business is done.
I thought the law of economics is there's something called demand and another thing called supply, which we call the market forces, and that they should be the one determining the cost of goods and services and whether people wanted to buy or not. Is that not so? Because even in the world now, Saudi Arabia said that they're going to cut production and supply in July, and everybody in the world, is beginning to. So everybody, as soon as the Saudis said what they said, the whole world took notice and it's beginning to rally around whatever Saudi Arabia says. Is that okay? So it means that global demand and supply is dependent on what the suppliers, bring to the market. Sometimes when there's a supply glut, the price of oil crashes, it goes down. But when it's scarce, it grows up. For example, in 1991, there was the Gulf War. Iran and Iraq were at each other's throats. Almost all the oil producing countries were supporting Iran or Iraq. Nigeria was the only country that was selling oil. We made what we've called the Gulf War oil windfall. It was about $12.4 billion. Maybe the younger viewers today, maybe I've even never heard of it before. Not a single kobo from that money found its way to Nigeria. Till today, we don't know the mystery bank account where that money went.
How much did it cost?
$12.4 billion US, 1991. We were the only country selling oil on it. We were the only oil country selling oil in the whole world. The Saudis, the Russians, everybody was involved in the war. We were the only country that was not involved in the war and were selling oil steadily. $12.4 billion. Not a single. It was a British journalist who discovered the whatever it was and reported it. The Nigerian government declared a personal non-grata on him and told him to leave the country. Abaku investigated it, the Otigbo panel, and they said, go back to the person who was head of government, who was military president. We could, because he held sway. He was a dictator. There's no way that money would have vanished and he wouldn't have known where, so
where the money went.
So fingers were pointing at General Babangida. Do you know that when Obasanjo came into office, he inherited the report of the panel. The panel report went mysteriously missing. They came on and said that the report had gone missing. And now it is easy to think that somebody stole it or somebody took it. But Mr. Moses, I hope you know that in this world, it is not only human beings that are living. There are other people who are also sharing the planet. That document just disappeared altogether. So, what we must do, these are very grievous allegations. The mere fact that sometimes they filter to the public space is even good. So we know. Maybe a day will come when we have to clean the Aegean stables and we will be able to point fingers at who did what and get justice. Because no amount of political sagacity or pragmatism should take the place of justice, because justice is the only thing that can put a smile on the face of the common man.
All right. Well, it's not today that snakes and monkeys have been taking money in Nigeria.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's been. We've had spirits also take papers and monies as well.
Yeah.
Oh well, let's go on to another daily now.
It's fine.
The Nation newspaper is up next. It has this banner headline: Tinubu in crucial talks over Senate President Speaker. President urges Wase Betara, Gagdi, others to accept party's choice. Meeting slated with APC governors, NWC, senators, reps-elect today. That's a meddling that should not be really, but let's take some other headlines before I take your response on that one and other issues as well.
Because I'll definitely come back to it.
Nigeria Air launch a fraud, rep panel claims. NLC, why we suspended planned strike. Obi endorses subsidy removal. And Senate OK's 20 special advisors for president. Manufacturers spend 76.7 billion naira on power in 6 months. All right. And when we go further down, we have filing discrepancies stall Atiku PDP petition. Court slams lawyer with 20 million naira fine over frivolous anti-Tinubu case. All right. So yes, those are the headlines we have. Now, let's get into that particular one.
Could you, for the sake of the listener, the viewer, could you repeat the headline on you said it was meddling.
Tinubu in crucial talks over Senate President Speaker. And then it has the sub headlines: President urges Wase Betara Gagdi others to accept party's choice. And then meeting slated with APC governors, NWC, senators, reps elect today.
You see, the thing is, these are the sort of things that make me like discussing politics. There is a side of, I think maybe of me, I don't know, that is extremely pragmatic, that likes to, because the fact is, these lawmakers, nobody is putting a gun to their head to go meet the president. Like I've said it before. If they, of their own volition, are willing to surrender their independence, surrender their co-equalness, surrender their coeval authority and power to come, because to go and meet the president for a discussion of who should lead the National Assembly, it is worrisome. But I could care less. Except you want to tell me that somebody is for the president didn't force them to come. If you don't want to go, you can stay back. I have said it again and again. If you won't be there, the president will not have a single vote on the floor of the National Assembly, either the Senate or House of Reps. His shadow may be there for all you care, okay? But if you believe that you have what it takes to be the Speaker or Senate President, please shun the meeting. And when D-Day comes, stand on the floor of the Senate, somebody will nominate you, right? That's the way it's done. Somebody nominates you. And then you put it to a vote. Vote, a proper vote. The fact is this: the only way the National Assembly could have kept its independence is if they would have been what's the word? If they would have been inaugurated before the swearing of the president. I think that the people who framed our constitution are very clever, very smart. You would think that they didn't know what they were doing, but they are very clever and smart. They know that these sort of curveballs are going to come on. And number two is the fact that how do you sit in a room with the president and not defer to him? How do you do that? You're not the labor union. Labor would have gone on strike. Why they didn't go on strike? In my view, I think that they didn't. I think this subsidy thing just has to end, and I think that they believe that they can work something out. Otherwise, today
it would have commenced.
The strike would have commenced, regardless of the order of the industrial court. It didn't begin today now. That's for the labor union. But for people who are members of House of Reps, who are elected, like President was elected, he can't hire and fire them. How do you go into a room with the president and commander in chief and not be careful what words you use, and not be careful what you say?
But you see, isn't that a Nigerian thing? because really, even the president, as we rightly put it, is a servant to the people. He was elected also.
It's not that.
And we've had Nigerians refer to their president as the father of the nation, a term that I have found troubling. You know, it makes it even worse for us to relate with the president properly, and call him to question when he doesn't do things right.
Father, not in terms of paternality or something.
But that's
Yeah, I understand.
what we see.
Yeah,
That's
well,
what we see. We see people report to the president. I mean, but Abiamila once told, when I think they called for, the House summoned someone, and he said, and the person did not show up, and he said, okay, I will report to the president. I heard that, and I'm like, if you want to fine, you fine.
Yeah. So this is, again, that dimension of it is purely a Nigerian problem. But I think it's a matter of the choice of words. I have said that the president is a moral leader. That there are times when the law may not make express provision for certain things, but as president, he must show example. He must, for example, President Tinubu, okay, there was no place in the books that said if Labour wants to go on strike, you must meet them at so and so day before they go on the strike. But you see that he has averted the strike with health workers. He has done what he can do to avert the strike with the NLC and TUC. Yeah, so this is leadership. The law didn't say meet them before or during the strike, but you know that we once had a president who probably wouldn't even have been aware that the NLC had issued a strike notice until things got very bad. Okay, so to that extent, there's and I mean that to the extent of showing becoming a moral beacon for people to see and follow is a father.
It's a good sign.
Yeah, the word father simply means source, the source of. So I can understand with them, but then the Nigerian case is bad in the sense that we have created, and again you really can't. Let's read the Constitution, chapter 6, I think, beginning from section 130 of the Constitution. You will see the powers accruing to the office. I have not seen any president around the world who has the amount of powers the Nigerian president has. And no matter the amount of what's it called, constitutional amendments we do, I've never seen where they say let them amend chapter 6 of the Constitution that deals with the powers of the president. From the president and by extension the executive arm, chapter 1 from section 130, onwards. Right, Moses? Mm-hmm. So this is the thing. He has powers. There's a whole lot he can do. In fact, there was a time we were told that the president can actually take a bill passed by the National Assembly, amend sections, and then sign.
Chapter 1?
No, chapter 6.
Chapter 6, okay.
Beginning from section 130.
Okay.
It begins with the bold claim. It says, there shall be for the federation a president. That's how it opens. And when you read down, you will be amazed at the powers the president wields. So, sometimes I really cannot blame these people. But I have said it again. Power is not given. Power is taken. You are the lawmakers. You hold the yam and the knife. Why continue to kowtow? And bargain? Why can't you, for once, summon the courage to say, this is purely within our purview, and we are going to exercise our powers in the best way we know how possible to do. But the reality again is this: the governors are part of the executive side of government. Bola Tinubu as president was former senator, former governor of Lagos. He understands politics as has to do with the executive arm very well. And we know that a lot of times it is the governors of states who control the people whom they've sent from their states to the National Assembly. To that extent, it is what governor says that senators and members of the House of Reps mostly do. So you find that somehow if you don't join ranks with the president, your governors are going to give you a hassle. So somehow they are tied. But I just think that if democracy is going to grow, I think we need to come back to our senses and ask ourselves some very fundamental questions. Are we here in the interest of our country, or we're here in the interest of our pockets, or of our party interest, or of any other thing? A time must come when national interest must override every other constitution, and I think this now is one such a time.
All right, then let's touch on another daily that we have. We have the Daily Trust. Now, from the Daily Trust, the banner headline here: subsidy removal. Artisans, business owners accuse NLC, TUC of selling out. CSOs knock unions, want other Nigerians covered. Why we suspended strike, labor. Fear of business looms. Fear of business loss looms. Man, that's MAN. Civil society leaders, activists to go ahead with mass protests. And then that has, right beside it, drama as Nasarawa Assembly gets 2 speakers. Food crisis looms, farmers tell Tinubu. UI professor shot dead in Ibadan. All right. And when you go further up, just underneath the nameplate of the paper, Presidential Tribunal adjourns over INEC's failure to supply PDP materials. Reps declare Nigeria Air launch fraud. Want officials involved prosecuted. IFC supports BUA, that's BOA, with $500 million facility to boost Sokoto plant. All right, so yes, these are the headlines that we have from the Daily Trust.
Yes,
let's quickly take them.
back to the Nigeria air issue.
Yes.
This is, I mean, a minister took an entire nation for a ride and literally called us fools. He kept on saying Nigeria. How many people have flown in that Nigeria? I will not use it.
It was actually, now we are hearing, now you know, officially, the reps are saying it was a chartered flight. It was a chartered flight to Nigeria because Ethiopian Airlines, I mean, Ethiopia, who's a stakeholder, were saying they are not aware of any launch of Nigerian Air. And now the minister is also coming out to say it wasn't a launch, it was an unveiling.
No, it's fine. He should. I think he should be explaining that in the court of law. The president does not have to wait for this. In fact, if the president wouldn't take the step, the National Assembly should summon the permanent secretary of Ministry of Aviation, Ministry of Justice, and give him marching orders to immediately begin action in the court of law to prosecute both the minister and everybody who
had a hand in it.
Who had a hand in this monumental barefaced fraud. This is voodoo aviation. Mm-hmm. And quickly take action. I mean, there's no need to wait for that time on it. Take immediate action so that it will be and I mean, it couldn't be Cyril alone anyway. There is need for this president, you know, if he turns a blind eye to these things, it will catch up with him somewhere. Because it takes time for fraud to be revealed. You remember when we are told that a former head of service, along with we are taking, how much was the money? Was it 500 million naira every day was being moved to certain accounts? I think it was part of what involved Mena, the pension thief.
Yes.
You never get to know. You never get to know. So the president shouldn't take it with kid gloves. He will think how much was the money, whatever it was, political contribution. But I can assure you that me going to his government, he will realize the humongous scale of how Nigeria played. So let's not wait. Summon them and prosecute this man thoroughly. So that it serves as a lesson. People, so much so that workers in the sector knew that this was a fraud. Oil and operators started to take the minister to court, and that case is still in court. So I think that something very fundamental should be done.
Should be done indeed. All right, that's I must say a very big thank you to you, Cyril, for coming on the show. That's about how far we can go with newspaper headlines this morning. Up next on VoP this morning, we asked the question: does the winner of the presidential election have to win 25% of votes cast in the FCT? Well, that's a conversation that we'll be delving into when we come back from this break. Stay with us.